All right, hi everyone. Looks like people are still loading in. We're going to go ahead and get started because it is 9 o'clock, 9:01, and you guys know how much I respect your evening time as I do my family. So just welcome everyone to the call tonight. I see one new face on. Awesome. We have a guest speaker. I'm really excited to be able to host Andrea tonight because I feel like there's a hole in my leadership that she can fill. So I'll be happy to hand it over to her. But I want to real quick just do one little announcement. I wanted to shout out Isa Burgos, Teresa Kaiser, and Rochelle Ruffner. Those are the ladies who got to take part in the Diamond Push Pot. So each of those girls, two of them regained their diamond and one hit new diamond. Isa, congrats to you. And a couple of you guys are on track to earn that diamond bonus for this quarter. So congrats to you ladies. Big deal. Way to push it this time of year. I especially admire the team that really invests in people this time of year when most people want to lean away. This is the time of year people need us most, and it really does. It really does mean a lot to see that you guys are really authentically committed to the people that you serve. So congrats to those ladies, and you get a little money. Well, we're gonna split some cash for you guys. I'm not positive on the amount, so I won't announce that. All right, so as people loading on, I'll go ahead and just introduce Andrea. So Andrea is a coach that I started to see her show up in my feed and really just admired. Well, I admire her for a lot of reasons. She obviously has a skill set and just different gifts that I do, and so I love to be inspired and learn from her. But also, I just really admire her leadership style. There's just certain people in the business that you really just like to, whenever they post something, you want to pay attention because you feel like, I just really align with her positivity and her authenticity. I think I just really love how Andrea is really authentic to who she is and who she wants to reach. And it's pretty clear when you follow her. And so she's going to share with us, I think some of the ways that she does that. She's going to help us figure out how to brand ourselves so that we know who we're reaching, who we want to reach. So Andrea, I don't know that I know much of your story. I know a little bit. So I'm looking forward to getting to know how you get started. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that, and I'll let you take it away.
So much for having me. I'm always so honored to speak on other people's, can you hear me okay? Okay, good. It's been weird, like volume with Zoom last week. So I'm always honored to speak on other people's team calls because I've learned so much from other coaches in the network that are not in my upline, and the generosity of sharing knowledge in Team Beachbody as a network, I think is very unique. And I think a blessing that we have. And I've always loved the idea of being able to, when I had knowledge that I felt like I could help other people with, having the opportunity to give back. I know one of my dear friends, Rachel Luna, who is a business coach, she said that she was in a mastermind with two women who created systems for network marketers. And they were talking about how the fact that like it was unheard of that leaders would share information. And Rachel's like, you clearly haven't met Beachbody because that's all we do. So thank you guys for having me. I've been a coach for 6 years, and I signed up for this business right after my husband had gotten home from deployment. Our house was still in boxes. I was working a full-time corporate job. We have 2 kids. It was really just like, it made no sense at the time for me to start a business. I had no experience whatsoever running my own online business. I didn't have a network. But I just saw this girl online, and it seemed like she really had something figured out. And that was that she just seemed really happy and like really fulfilled. And I, as happy as I was with my family life, my professional career, felt like there was no opportunity for growth. We were living paycheck to paycheck. There's really nowhere for me to move up within the company. I still didn't have a college degree either. But I had the desire and the ambition to learn and to do more. And I just felt like this kind of internal nudge that like there was something else that I was meant for. Now, I didn't come into this business thinking that I would be like a top network marketer. I don't think anybody puts that on, like when you're filling out those surveys, when you're in high school thinking like, what am I going to go to college for? Nobody says like, oh, I'm just going to be a top beach body coach. At the time, I didn't know what that was, and that wasn't even a thing. But I fell in love with really the culture first and foremost, and like what we did for people. And I think the most important thing before you guys start to learn strategy or tactical skills is that you truly believe in what it is that we're doing for people and their lives, and you know what it is that you want to do. And we'll talk a little bit about that because some of that is a part of your brand. But ultimately, like, why are you here? Because when times get tough, and they will, because this is a living, breathing, organic beast, this business, it's always changing. And sometimes these things are going to flow and be easy, and sometimes you're going to hit a hiccup and you're just going to have to figure your way out of it. And the only reason that you're going to push through the times where you have to figure your way out of it is because you know why. You know why you're here, and you know what you're doing. And it's generally about a greater purpose than just putting a few dollars in your wallet, because that motivation for money really only lasts so long. And if you guys stay in this business for long enough, and you work smart and you work intentionally, you guys will make enough money to where you don't have to worry about your bills getting paid. So your basic human needs will be met. So why will you still stay, and why will you still continue to grow your business and continue to serve people? So I'm going to talk to you guys about branding. We'll talk a little bit about aesthetics, but ultimately, like, the foundation of all of that is like, why are you here? What do you really want to do for people? And I'll kind of share my story to hopefully help trigger some ideas for you guys. But that deeper sense of purpose and knowing is what's going to drive you and what's going to push you to do things. Like, I have a migraine tonight, but I still show up for my business through a headache, or I've shown up through my business for, after having fights with my husband, and I've jumped on a team call or a, what is coaching webinar, and I had to like get my shit together. And like, not every single day is going to be perfect, but when you know and you have that deeper sense of purpose and why, you're going to push through and you're going to show up anyway, because you believe so much that time and energy is worth it. And I believe that with my whole heart, or I wouldn't be here. So let me share my screen with you guys, and let's kind of go in with and start talking a little bit about your brand. So let's click. Oops. Okay. So let's start out with like your mission statement. A lot of people, when you ask them like, well, what's your mission statement? Sometimes you feel like it has to be this like super corporate-y thing, and it has to be like really professional. Ultimately, above anything else, you want your mission statement to evoke emotion out of you. Because if you don't feel something when you say or think about your mission statement, you haven't done a good enough job. So when you start to think about it and break it down, what I think about is, who do I want to help? I'm sorry, what do I want to do? Like, what do I want to do for other people? Who do I want to help? How do I want to help them? And how will it benefit the world? Sometimes you don't even necessarily have to think worldwide, but when you do think about like the trend of obesity and the epidemic of 20% of all of our children in the US are either overweight or obese, which is scary high, and it's only continuing to trend upwards, it really does have a worldwide impact once we start to think about the generational effect of what we do. Just like that concept of the ripple effect, you throw one stone in the pond, and like the amount of ripples that come from it, one little effort can make such a big difference. So when you think about your mission statement, and when you say it, or when you think about it in your mind, close your eyes, and I want you to really feel something. Because when your vision, and you know exactly what you want to do, who you want to help, how it's going to help them, how will it help you, how will it help your family, how will it help your community, how will it help your team, how will it help the world, the fear that keeps you from taking action becomes irrelevant, because the fear of not doing anything becomes so much greater, because you know the person that you want to serve. You have a relationship with them before you even met them. You're connected to them. You feel pain when they feel pain. You know what their pain points are. You know what their dreams are. You know what their desires are. You care about them so deeply that the fear of like, well, what if I get a no, or what if someone judges me? It just doesn't matter, because it's bigger than that one person. It's bigger than that one person who just doesn't get it yet. Not everybody's going to get it right away. But when you are so clear about what you're doing and who you're helping and how that helps you, your family, your community, your team, and ultimately the world, it just doesn't matter. Those little things don't stop you. It doesn't mean you don't feel the nerves. You feel it. You're just willing to conquer it. You're just willing to, use concepts like the 5-second rule and count backwards from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And you send the invite or you start the conversation. So I want you to start thinking about that mission. I love this quote by Steve Jobs. One of the things that I feel like he was so brilliant at was like really understanding people and how to move large amounts of people to get his visions out into the world. And he said, if you're working on something exciting, write that down. Something exciting has to evoke passion and excitement from you that you really care about. You have a deep, connected sense of purpose. You really care about it. Nobody has to push you. Your upline doesn't have to reach out to you and be like, hey, are you inviting? Hey, you going to hit Success Club this month? They don't want to do that anyway because it's not fun. It weighs you down when you're trying to pull people. But when you can evoke that vision in yourself, you can do it for others. You can paint that picture for others, and nobody has to be pushed. The vision pulls you all, but you really have to know what it is first. So my mission statement for my business is I help women create physical and financial freedom, or financial wealth, freedom, and joy. Those two words: wealth, freedom, enjoy. That word joy is very special to me. No word in here is by accident. Every word is so intentional, and every word evokes genuine emotion out of me. Because you can build a business being methodical and just taking action and going through the motions. But if you're not having fun, why? If it's not pleasure, why? And it's actually harder when you're just going through the emotions. That's why when people ask me like, well, can you just make me a checklist? Well, sure, I can make you a checklist, but if you just go through the motions, it's going to be harder for you than it is for me, because I'm having way more fun than you are. So how can you pull joy? And I'll talk about that a little bit more in depth soon. But how can you pull more joy into your business? I want to give that to other people, but I have to exude it first. I have to be it. Whatever I want to ask others to be, I have to shine that light in myself first. And then this word that's a little bit bigger than the rest and bolded: unapologetically. I kind of grew up feeling like I couldn't use my voice as loudly as I wanted to. And I remember the very moment when I decided like I couldn't be as loud as I wanted to. And it wasn't necessarily like anybody had done anything wrong. Like, it was my birthday and I was excited and I was a young kid and I screamed and I was right next to my dad's ear, and I got in so much trouble for screaming that I think that moment I realized like I had to be quiet, and it really, really shifted my voice. And my dad didn't do anything wrong. Like, he was like freaked out. Like, I screamed in his ear, but I remember the very moment where I was like, never be too loud again. And it just set this motion for me where I apologized if I was a little too loud, a little too much, a little out of line. And I decided I just didn't want to show up that way anymore. I recognized the story that I was telling myself over and over, and I decided it's up like, oh, that heart-wrenching, like, mom to mom connection of like, girl, I've been there. I know what it's like to go in the dressing room for the first time after you've had a baby. I remember that day. Like, it's a specific moment in time. So share a specific moment. Like, I was in the dressing room, or I was standing in line and my kid, another kid in the grocery store was like, when's your baby due? Or like, just a specific story, or a story about how people, it could be the opposite. Your story could be gaining weight. It could be about how, everybody used to make fun of you and say how lucky you were to, be able to eat whatever you wanted, but you desperately wanted to be able to put 10 pounds on. And everybody was saying like, just good for you. And like, people always made fun of you and whatever, like whatever your story is, just give a very specific moment in time, because people connect to like that moment. And not everyone's going to connect, but the right people will. And when you share that story where someone else has been there, and they now all of a sudden know that you've gone through that same exact moment in time that they did, number one, they don't feel alone. And number two, they trust you fast, because they know if you've been through it and you got out of it, you can help them. So those specific moments are really crucial. Whenever I have a new coach right out there open for business post or share their first like before after pictures, I really work hard with them on picking that one moment to share, so that they have that ability to really deeply connect with people. Okay. So I know that in the beginning of starting a business and throughout the business, we start to think about like, well, what are your goals? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Like, when do you want to be able to quit your full-time job, or how much money do you want to make, or all these like destination goals of like someday when I'm there. And the temptation is that we get into this mode of, I'll be satisfied when I get to XYZ. I'll be happy with my business when I'm making this amount of money. I'll feel like a leader when I'm this rank. The catch is that in order to get there faster, the journey has to feel the way you want the destination to feel. So if you want to be a leader, you have to feel that first, right? If you want to be a diamond coach, you have to really exude that right now, because then you step into the role. If you want to be a 2-star, if you want to be $1 million earner, how does $1 million treat their business? It's not going to happen. You're not going to start treating your business like $1 million business once you get there. It doesn't work that way. You have to treat it like that first. That energy has to be there in the beginning before you get to the destination. But I don't even like to use, I use this quote because I think it really paints a strong picture. But really in business, there is no end destination. There's just like little points on the map where you might stop there for 2 seconds and celebrate that. But if you're climbing a mountain and business is the mountain is your business, there's no summit. It's just a journey. You keep going. There's always a next step. You never get to the top. And that's the point. You're always climbing. And that doesn't have to feel painful or feel frustrating. I do want to talk about that for sure. It should feel like what I call the 3 Ps: passion, purpose, and play. When you infuse passion, purpose, and play into your business, it doesn't feel like you're climbing a mountain. The people who do go climb those huge mountains, they love every step. It feels so exhilarating to them. It doesn't feel like hard work. Yes, you have to show up, and yes, you have to be intentional. And some days you have to show up when you're not really feeling it. But when you can pull the passion, purpose, and play into your business, it doesn't feel hard. It feels exhilarating. It feels wonderful. It feels like pleasure. Tony Robbins says we make decisions based off of whether something's going to cause us pleasure or if it's going to cause us pain. If we touch a stove and it's hot and it causes us pain, we don't touch the stove again. Well, if you guys treat your business like a stove and you're constantly making this a painful process, eventually you're going to stop touching it, right? Because it keeps causing you pain. But when in business, it's your choice how you approach it. So I actually had to shift my beliefs because I was taught by, my parents that the secret to success is hard work. But what I realized is that's a lie. That's what a lot of people say, but there's a lot of people out there making a shit ton of money and they are not working very hard, right? They're just working smart. The secret to success is not hard work. And when I started thinking like, well, I just have to work harder and I have to be more disciplined, those two words, hard and discipline, didn't feel very good to me. And I started looking for opportunities to resist the activities that would grow my business. And when I found myself doing that, what I had to do was shift back to, why am I doing this? What do I love? And what feels fun? So what are my passions? My passions are, I love anything creative. So that's why I get asked to talk about branding a lot. I love typography. I love colors. I love color palettes. I love people. Even though I'm an introvert, I do love deep conversations with people. I love seeing transformations take place in people, not just physical transformations. Sometimes it's a mindset transformation. Sometimes it's all of a sudden somebody believing that they can do something that they didn't believe they could before. And seeing that light go off in people's eyes, I am a junkie for it. It is crack cocaine to me. I love it. What's my purpose? For me, to see people, to see women, especially, I believe my deep purpose is to empower women around money. Money's not a dirty word, even though what's the first thing as babies that we learn about money? We pick up money, we pick up a quarter and we try to put it in our mouth. And what do people say? Don't put that in your mouth. Money's dirty. And so what do we grow up believing a lot of times? Like, money's a dirty word. Well, I don't choose to believe that anymore. And I want to reteach that to people. So I have a deep sense of purpose over helping people redefine money as just simply a tool. Money is neither good nor bad. It is a neutral resource. It is a resource that you can use for good or bad. I just choose to use it for good. And I want to empower women to believe that it's okay for them to be wealthy. It's okay for them to make as much money as they want. And it's not a bad thing. I also want to teach women that it's okay to have balance. I don't think that a balance every day is a realistic idea. I think some days we're, more balanced in careers and some days we're more balanced in family. But overall, when we look at our life, it feels good. And it's okay to want to have a career and it's okay to want to have a family, and you can have both. And you can do both well. And I want to teach women that that's okay. And I also want to teach women to have massive amounts of energy. People, the energy that they surround themselves with through their community, the physical energy that they show up with every day, because when you feel good, you have the energy to show up and do and be what's important to you. It is the platform that you stand on to achieve everything that you want to achieve, whether it's an amazing family life or whether it is a career. That is my purpose. That is why I'm here on this earth. I know it in my every cell of my being. And then play. Like I said earlier, you guys can go through the motions. You can go through a checklist, and I could give you an exact checklist of exactly how I work my business every single day. And you could do the checklist, but if you're not having fun, you will not get the same results that I get, because energy matters. The energy in your brand will either pull people towards you or push them away. Think of it like this. If you guys have ever gone into a store and you've seen, various different clerks, or just imagine this with me. You see two employees, one of them sitting there with their arms crossed and they're like, oh, great, another person that's going to come in here and try to buy this TV or this expensive pair of shoes. And they're going to like ask me a million questions, take up all my time. And they're just going to be like, can't afford it. Or maybe later. But the other person is like, oh my God, I just can't wait for this person to experience how amazing their life is going to be when this woman puts on this pair of shoes, to see the confidence that's going to come across her face when she sees how amazing and sexy she looks. I just can't wait for her to slip her foot into this beautiful shoe. that person is exuding amazing energy. They care deeply about that other person's experience, not their commission. And they're not worried about what that person means to them. They're worried about what they mean to that person. Who are you going to do business with? The person who can't wait to help you, or the person who already assumes that you're just going to be a time suck or tell them no? So when you approach your business with play and passion and purpose, your energy is a resounding yes, let me help you. You have 3 stages of energy. You either have an all-in yes, you have a kind of, sort of, maybe, or you have a no. And your results in your business will reflect as such. You're either getting no results because your energy says no. You're kind of getting maybe, sort of, like ish. You might hit Success Club one month and the other month not so much. You're getting like maybe results because you're kind of dabbling. You're unsure. You have one foot in and you have one foot out. So you're getting one foot in and one foot out results, even though you want the money, but the action and the energy behind it doesn't align. Or you're like, fuck yes, I'm all in. I'm ready to serve. I want to do this. I have a passion for what I'm doing. I believe in my purpose, and this is fun. You attract people to you, and it's so, I hate to use the word easy, but it is easy. It doesn't feel hard. It feels playful. It feels enjoyable. But you have to choose to approach your business that way. That's why when people come to me and they're like, well, what social platform should I be on, Andrea? I say, what one do you have the most fun on? Because just because I'm killing it on Instagram right now doesn't mean you will. If you love spending all your time on Pinterest, go kill it on Pinterest. You can make tons of money on Pinterest. There's very few coaches utilizing Pinterest. If you love that platform, you should be there. I don't love Pinterest. I love to play on it once in a while for creative projects, but I don't really enjoy spending time on that platform. I go do what I need and then I leave. Instagram is another story. I love being on Instagram, but it used to be Facebook for me. I used to actually not enjoy Instagram, and I used to love Facebook. Was my playground, and I got 99% of my results from Facebook. Now it's more like 70% on Instagram and 30% on Facebook. Facebook's not very fun to me anymore. People just have like their arms crossed all the time on Facebook, I feel like, or at least in my world. So I'm having more fun on Instagram and I'm getting results there because of my joy, because I enjoy spending time there. So this is an at a glance view of what my brand looks like. I'm addicted to transformations, faith, fitness, and finances. I have a story about removing my breast implants, and I love sharing to really, it's brought people into my business, but that's never been my intention of just sharing, like, this was a struggle for me. I hate to cook, but I love to eat. So any recipe that takes roughly 10 minutes, 20 minutes at the most is like my jam. I'm all about women empowering women. I'm an Army wife. Actually, I pulled this slide from a previous presentation, but of 14 years now. I have a mom of a teen and a preteen. And then my challenge group is Bod Squad Babes, where we do me first and we do it really well. It is all about taking care of ourselves first so that we can show up in our lives and have more energy and have more joy and have more passion and have more creativity. This is me at a glance. But I do want to talk a little bit about your brand aesthetics because looks do matter. So if you guys take at a glance, this is just a screenshot of me on Instagram, Emily Kirby on Instagram, and then Steph Davies. All of us are a little bit different when you look at us at a glance of visuals. Mine have some more like bright jewel tones. If you look at mine right now, this is like a screenshot from over the summer, but if you look at mine right now, you'll see a lot, like right now I'm obsessed with red. You'll see a lot of that in my tones because I feel like I'm exuding a lot of passion right now. And it's coming through in my visuals as well. Emily Kirby is very like neutral, and she's so consistent with like the with her photo editing. But you could see everybody here has good contrast and nice like bright photos, right? When you look at them, your eyes drawn into them because there's a little bit of extra effort put into them. The average person on social media isn't going to put a whole lot of effort into their pictures, but you don't want to be average. You want to show people that you're willing to put in a little bit of extra effort, and that matters through your visuals. So here's what I wanted to challenge you guys. Your call to action today is a little Pinterest project for you. If you love Pinterest, awesome. You're going to be super pumped about this. It's just I love using Pinterest. I have a lot of secret boards because I like to use them for like creative projects. So what I want you guys to do is create a board that is your brand board. And I want you to spend anywhere from like the next week to, the next couple weeks, just pinning any photos that make your heart expand when you look at them. Either like the typography, feels really amazing to you, like the colors you're really drawn to, the quote you're really drawn to, anything where you look at it and you're just like, ooh, I love that. Like it just really pulls your heartstrings and it pulls you in. And then after a while, when you have like 50 to 100 pins on there, do you guys remember those old photos where you had to look at the photo and you kind of had to let your eyes relax in order for the photo to pop out at you? It was like a 3D photo, and if you kind of went cross-eyed a little bit and let your eyes relax, the 3D image would pop out at you. That's kind of how I want you to look at your Pinterest board. Is after a while, look at it as a whole, soften your eyes and look, okay, what colors are consistent here? What fonts are consistent here? What energy is consistent? What are some of the quotes that I feel really drawn to? And that's how I want you to start approaching the aesthetics of your brand. Spending a little bit more time on the aesthetics, and the consistency in those aesthetics makes you a little bit more recognizable. If you guys are on Instagram, this is like a must. Planoly is an amazing tool. I know there's other tools out there that kind of help you like plan what photos look nice next to each other. This just happens to be the one that I use. You can pre-schedule them. They don't auto post. It just creates a notification on your phone that says like, hey, go post this. And you just click a couple buttons and it goes over and posts it. I don't really play around with anything that's going to automatically do anything on my Instagram account, because they catch like those bots in those accounts, and I'm not willing to risk losing my Instagram account. But Planoly is amazing because it allows you to see like what looks nice next to each other and pre-plan, a few posts. And sometimes I'll find something like the way that someone takes a picture, just like the angles that they might be taking it from, and I'll screenshot it and I'll save it in Planoly as well, just so I can look back to it and be like, oh, that was just like a good way to kind of lay the picture out. And then I could go duplicate that myself with my own stuff. I'm not using someone else's picture, but I could just duplicate that concept. So I'm always being inspired by other people, just really so I can see like, oh, that's a good angle and that makes sense, and the lighting there makes sense. But Planoly is just a great way to kind of see everything next to each other and see how it's going to look. All I did to this picture is just increase the lighting. So I just used a photo editing app called Pick Tap Go, and I just increased the lighting a little bit. What picture are you going to be more drawn to? This took me 2 seconds. You guys can just do this just open up your photo editing app. But if you see like, and this is me outside in the middle of a day on a beach, so it was outside lighting, but when you just pop up that lighting a little bit more, your eyes naturally drawn more into it. So I'm telling you guys, 2 seconds of attention, 2 seconds of extra effort will go a long way. And if you guys put like your heart into a post, don't you want to do everything you possibly can to get people to look at it and actually read it? So a little bit of increasing lighting and a little bit of increasing contrast in photos does attract more attention to people's eyes. So as a recap, what I want you guys to do is write out your mission statement. When you talk online, I want you to use language that aligns with your mission statement. I also want you to think about like, who's that specific person that you want to attract, and use stories and content to connect to that person and to build trust. Know who they are. You guys could create like a pretend ideal customer. You can give them a picture, you can give them a name, you can write them a story. But when you know and most of the time it's it's just like your older self. So my ideal customer is Andrea 5 years ago. And I'm just speaking to where I was 5 years ago. So I know her pain points. I know her struggles. Like, I have compassion and empathy for what she's going through right now. And I want to reach her because I don't want her to think for another second that there's not a solution that can help her feel better, feel more energy, feel happier, feel more hope, have more ambition, have something that is going to fulfill her. So my storytelling and my content connects and builds trust with Andrea 5 years ago. And then consistent and appealing images that draws attention to you. Take pride in your brand. It doesn't have to take a lot of time, but it does take a little bit of extra effort. That little bit of extra effort will help you get noticed more. So that's all I have for you guys. I hope that was helpful. And I have a few seconds for questions if we have any.
Yeah, that was really helpful. I think you articulated so many things that I've been really had a hard time with. So I look forward to this whole Pinterest project. Anybody
It's
have any?
fun.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, and I'm not a creative person at all. But I know what I like, and I know that I like nice stuff, and I know like when it comes to fashion and like my home decor, I love it. But I don't know how. Like, I don't feel confident. So it's frustrating to feel like you know what you like, but you don't know how to articulate it. So I'm excited to try this. Does anybody have any specific questions for Andrea? There was something that you shared in the round table just, I want to say this weekend. Um, and you talked about how you signed up a whole bunch of people. Now I wanted to share that post in the team page, but I figured I should let you share. Was it this weekend?
Yeah. On Sunday, I made a post. So if you guys are like, oh my gosh, Thanksgiving is this week, people aren't buying, people aren't spending money. I sold 11 challenge packs on Saturday and Sunday, 9 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. That's not my normal MO. I'm normally like a Success Club 10 to Success Club 16. Right now I'm at 34. That's not a normal month, but it's November and people want this. But my energy right now, and I know it's hard to tell because like for some reason, I think I went to Soul Cycle with Christina Delgado and I sweat out too much and I did not drink enough water. So my head is like pissed. So normally my energy is like a little bit more than what you guys are getting. And I'm so sorry for that. But like just, I feel like right now because I'm so deeply connected to my passion, purpose, and play. And that was part of why I left and went and did Soul Cycle. Is like, I'm intentionally being more playful in my life so that I feel more playful in my business. And Christina knew like I was kind of doing a lot of that right now. And she's like, I need more play right now. Like she was stressed out about the end of the year. And I was like, okay, let's go do this. We like just spent the day like refilling our cup. And then I feel like people are so connected to like seeing that balance of like working, you know, intently and then more passion filled in your business. I did make a video and I'll send that to you. It's just a 15-minute video sharing like what I did to bring those people in, but I just did a sneak peek into my challenge group. So I'll share that video with you and it explains the whole thing. But ultimately it came back to like, I'm so connected to my purpose right now of how I want to help people and who I want to help.
Right. Yeah. I think, yes, you had shared that you had done another sneak peek, and I know you had done that in the past, but you had done another one and it was super successful. And I know that you had really defined your VOD squad babes and who you're trying to reach. I remember reading a post and then I shared some of that information, how you really know exactly who you're talking to, and you've recreated all your challenge groups to really speak to that person. And it's probably bring people into your tribe that are ready to go because you're so clear about who that is. And so that's exciting to me. Like that, like I get really excited about mapping this out myself, getting more clear on who that person is, who that avatar is. Someone asked, how often does your brand change and how often do you reevaluate?
My brand changes as I change. But that doesn't mean all of a sudden one day it has to look like 180 degrees different, right? It just continues. It doesn't change. It just evolves.
Right.
Just like we do as normal human beings, right?
Right.
And I just focus and I continue to focus on like where I'm deeply passionate about it. And that always translates into an awesome business. And I think the reason like with the challenge groups also is like ultimately what we define is like, how do we want to make everybody feel every day? That was like a big question that we talked a lot about of like, how do we want to empower them? How do we want to make them feel. And once we knew and understood that, it was so easy to articulate how we wanted to help them. And when they heard it, it was like instant connection. And that's why I had so many people. And there was more strategy involved in that. And like I said, the video will explain like the specific strategy behind it, but like the energy had to come first.
I like how you explained that you can't, like, we can't just give checklists on how we do things. And we can try. And the way you said it, I mean, this is the way that I say it. When I know what my purpose is, I have a filter through which to make decisions rather than I can tell you exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
So that's kind of the way I try to describe it. It's like, I don't know, it's just the filter through which I make judgments and calls and movements. And so it's hard to actually like how do you grow leaders? There's no checklist. I mean, if there were, it'd be so easy, but having that filter, having that on paper, being really clear about it makes it easy and fun. And I think it's easy like to find ourselves drifting away from it when things are getting harder and not as fun. Like, whoa, what's happening here? Wait a minute, I'm not. But if you've never mapped it out, if you've never written it down, then how do you even know? So this is really good. So thank you so much, Andrea. I would love to see that video if you don't mind sharing that with us. But we appreciate your time, and so sorry that you're not feeling well tonight. We appreciate you.
My own fault.
Appreciate you.
I'll blame Christina though.
Follow Andrea. Definitely follow her on Instagram and Facebook, and watch her, be inspired by what she's doing. I didn't announce all her creds in the beginning because I kind of skipped over that, but she's a three-time elite coach. She's an 11-star in her first business and her 9-star in her second. So that's 20 combined diamonds right there, and she's a Million Club member, guys. So she has really developed a strong, solid business, and she's a strong, solid leader. So somebody that we can all be inspired by and learn from. So definitely follow her. And she has tons of trainings on YouTube, and I've watched several of yours. So you can definitely learn from her there. So again, thanks, Andrea. We appreciate you. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Bye all.
Happy Thanksgiving, you guys.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, guys.